Okay, guys, the verdict on celebrities waving the checkered flag. Now, come on, let's be absolutely open here.
If that's what they feel they need to do in order to attract a new and younger generation of fan, then so be it. I don't really care. But they do need to make sure that the local race officials are aware which lap the race is on. So I think it's really unfair, but obviously understandable in a world of instant reaction, social media, that she's bearing the brunt for the mistake. But clearly, if you're going to do this, you've got to absolutely make sure that you are operating at the top of your game and you give her the correct instructions of when to wave it. I've
been fascinated but not surprised to see the reactions we've got on social media in the wake of it. There was this brilliant argument that I saw play out where someone was defending Winnie Harlow, saying, well, you know, she just gets given an instruction, she does what she's told. And this person was coming back and saying, but she's the one waving the flag. She's not going to overrule the instructions she's given from an official, is she? So,
can I make one point here, and that is that it is obviously a job which is critical. We know that. Yeah. And the bottom line is you've got to know what lap it is, you've got to be sure of the car that you're waving the flag for. They're the two main issues. Very simple, but incredibly difficult under pressure. It's a sort of job where you cannot afford to make any mistake whatsoever. And if you're on your own and you're doing it correctly and you're thinking about it and it's what you do for a living, no problem at all. The minute you have two people together talking, and then you maybe got a cameraman taking the odd picture and everybody's slightly distracted and the pressure builds up, that's when communication goes wrong, and that's when even an expert can make a mistake because everything's slightly different from normal. And I think it's because there was more than one person doing it. I'm not saying we could do it on our own. Actually, I think this was a wake-up call. In reality, we should have somebody who does that job professionally, in inverted commas, but does it on a regular basis because it's a very important job.
Well, I mean, especially all joking aside, it could have had potentially serious safety concerns. You know, if some of the cars were slowing, if there's a track invasion, I think Vettel said he was worried there might be fans on track. And also the mindset changes when you've gone from being in a racing situation to a cool-down lap. But it's not the first time it happened. I remember Pele showing the flag to whoever finished third, and that was
it was another celeb.
And also, we were talking in the office, 1985 British Grand Prix at Silverstone by the official clerk of the course, waving the flag a lap early. I just wonder in Canada whether they're all just a bit asleep because it was one of the most boring races.
I think it was a little bit like the Oscars when they got the Oscars wrong, and there were just so many people in the back, and there was so much going on, and so many people with doing selfies at the time that everybody got distracted. And that's the danger of having a celeb doing something that's relatively important to the Formula One infrastructure, in my view. You've got to decide when the celebs can play their role, but actually to let them play a role within the infrastructure of the sport is kind of playing with fire.
You've got something in common with Charlie White in there. Not the comparison to the Oscars, because Charlie's got better things to do with his post-race media debrief that he's introduced for this year. But he did point out that it's something that happens when it gets quite busy. It happens at the start as well. People go in, they might bring a friend in or a celebrity or something like that. And I commend F1 for trying to do something a bit different. It is an important part, but it is something that, in theory, should be very easy to control. There shouldn't be these mistakes. I don't agree with the comparison I've seen of, it's like letting the celebrity end a football match, because it doesn't happen in quite the same way. There is it should, in theory, it should be very simple to denote the end of a Formula One race. There's a race leader, comes out of the last corner, and there you go. Yeah. Whereas in football, obviously, the point what
if it's a very close fight for first, second and third, and they're coming up to lap 2 back markers, that's when you need to get your attention.
I think what Charlie has talked about maybe they make it automated now. So I think he's talked about having some kind of basically electronic flag on the line. Obviously, it's got to the point now where drivers are told about blue flags on the steering wheel, and we've got lights as well as flags on marshal posts.
So that must be what happens in Singapore and Bahrain where all the fireworks go up. There wouldn't be somebody there pressing a button. That'd be all electronically.
So you would think that F1 is so high tech now. It almost feels a bit weird that we finish the race with someone waving a flag, and it feels weird that we don't have fail-safes in
but
place.
I still like the idea of somebody who does it well and doing a really extravagant flag wave.
Who was the guy in Australia that used to do the really...
Richard Wiseman knows his name. Tex Hopkins is the one that used to do it at Watkins Glen, and he wore a lavender suit and a hat and jumped in the air and did a million of these.
I remember that.
And that was great. That was part of the scene, and he always got it right because he knew what he was doing. He was on the track,
quite literally, you had one job.